Welcome, guys. Today we are going to talk about why hate is better than forgiven. We are going to make an argument, build an argument. So if you don't like it or if you have a different opinion, please share your opinions in the comments. So starting with the argument is we have to understand which one is more easier. Forgiven is by far more easier than hating, because in my case, in my argument, I will going to talk about more, let's say, which one is more harder. So in order to understand this, we have to compare those two. First of all, most of the time there's the problem, the hate, and then steps, and then forgiven. So hate is not a permanent thing in most of the cases. Also, hate is more tiring, right? Because hate is a burning emotion. It burns inside of you and it will affect you, affect your life. But in case of the forgiveness, there's no such a thing as that. Forgiveness oftentimes is a result of the path, result of the journey. We can understand and we can see that. Also, there's a forgetting part, but if we don't actively forgive the people, forgive the person, let's say a person, you cannot forget them. So even in forgetting the problem, you have to forgive actively. But in the hate's case, there's no such a thing, because forgiveness is something that we do as a permanent thing. If not something else is happening later on, we will be able to forgive at it all the times. So it's a permanent act. Hate is not, because, like I said, hate is a burning emotion. Hate wears off when you're alone, when you get tired, when you have something else going on. The hate goes on. And why hate is more important than forgiveness? I believe the agenda in the social media is oftentimes saying that, oh, we should forgive and forget. But I beg to differ, because in the human's history, the whole history of humanity, we see if we forgive and forget, most of the time, thing will happen to us again. And the counter argument might be saying that you can forgive, but you shouldn't forget. But forgetting is, you know, something that is not that important, because hate is expect them to do something, forgiving them, not forgetting, expecting them something, they do something again, but not taking that much of precaution. In my argument, I will talk about this thing, burning the bridges. Okay, so let's make a metaphor about it. So there's two countries. One of them invaded the other, but eventually they got pushed out. Between those two, there was a bridge. So you should burn the bridges, or you should not burn the bridges but sign a agreement. I would burn the bridges, because this is far more easier, right? So hate says that let them go, but let them go saying that, hey, don't mess with me. So eventually and essentially, the hate becomes superior to forgiveness. Forgiveness is far more easier than hate. Oftentimes we talk about people how hard to forgive, but forgiveness is a result of you getting tired, time passing by. So it just takes time. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. But hating is far more harder than forgiveness. We have to understand this. And we have to, I think, also in the same, we see people oftentimes forgiving people. And this is not a good thing. So I'm gonna talk about a bit of a sociology. So I think the function sociology says that, hey, crime is something. Let's talk about crime. If we didn't have crime, we wouldn't have laws. If we wouldn't have laws, then we couldn't set an example. By hating all the time, at least to people who did you wrong, it's something that you set an example of. And if you don't, it can happen again by someone else. You might say that, yeah, they will do that. The bad guys will be the bad guys, whatever. But I don't think it is necessary for you to not take action against those people. And if we see people, for example, in cancel culture, right? They say something bad, no one listens to them anymore. And people try to tiptoe around it, but this is actually something good. If you give them a voice, and if they use that voice against people, against as minorities, against people who are in need, then we should take that voice back and never give them away. Never give it to them one more time because they did some mistakes. And essentially, those mistakes, I'm talking about the mistakes that affects your life in a daily basis, you shouldn't give them back. The idea is simple as that, actually. And the reason I say hating is far more harder than forgiveness is comes into play that then, this time. L- Oftentimes, there's, people divide to 50-50. One says not forgive, one says forgive. So the bullies, the people who can do bad things, oftentimes will say, but the 50% says forgive. So they will lean on that side and try not to take the blame. So one argument goes down the drain, one argument becomes superior in social media, in daily lives. But I think, like, we see people, they say, you apologize to me, but I don't take to apologize. I'm not gonna forgive you. This is the thing that we should do against the bullies of the world, against the bullies of our world, our inner circle, and to the people, it will set an example. This is why hate is more important than forgiveness. We shouldn't forget, we shouldn't forgive. The people who did us wrong, they deserved our hate. So this is my argument. I hope you related to it. Or if you don't, please let me know. And if you have an argument about it, please write down in the comments so I can see, and I will be trying to count either relate to you, or I will offer some counter arguments as well. So goodbye, people.